Level 1. The dust and the decision. Your eyes open to a cracked wooden ceiling. The smell of whiskey and dust fills your lungs. You're lying on the floor of a saloon, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Your pockets are empty, your boots are worn through. The year is 1873, and the American frontier is a place where law barely exists. You push yourself up from the dirty floorboards. A bartender stares at you from behind the counter, wiping a glass with a rag that has never been cleaned. He does not say a word. You stumble toward the door, and the blinding desert sun hits your face like a wall of heat. The town is small, a general store, a sheriff's office, a stable with tired horses standing in the shade. People walk past you without a second glance. You're nobody here, just another drifter with no money and no name. Then you see it. A wooden post stands near the sheriff's office, covered in paper. Bounty posters, dozens of them. Faces of outlaws stare back at you, each one with a price on their head. Some worth $50, some worth $500. One poster catches your eye. A cattle thief named Clayton Briggs, wanted across 3 territories. The reward is $200. That is more money than you have seen in your entire life. You pull the poster from the nail and you fold it into your coat pocket. You look down the empty dirt road, stretching toward the horizon. There's nothing behind you, no family, no home, no past worth remembering. But ahead of you, there is a choice. You can keep drifting and starve, or you can become something this frontier desperately needs, a bounty hunter. You take a deep breath of the dry desert air. Your new life starts right now, level 2, iron and instinct. You walk into the general store with nothing but that bounty poster and a plan. The man behind the counter looks you up and down. He has seen your kind before, drifters trying to play hunter. You ask about a revolver. He pulls one from beneath the counter, a worn 6-shooter with a wooden grip. It is not pretty, but it works. You trade your last valuable possession for it, a silver pocket watch your father once carried. The weight of the iron in your hand changes something inside you. You are no longer just a drifter. You head to the stable next. A brown mare stands in the corner, calm and steady. The stable owner tells you she is not fast, but she will never quit on you. That is exactly what you need. You saddle her up, and for the first time in months you sit tall. But owning a horse and a revolver does not make you a bounty hunter. You need to learn the rules. An old man sits on the porch of the sheriff's office, chewing tobacco and watching the world go by. His name is Earl Grady. He was a bounty hunter for 20 years before his knees gave out. You sit beside him and he starts talking. He tells you the first rule. Never chase an outlaw in anger, because anger makes you careless. The second rule. Always study the land before you study the man. The third rule. Trust your horse more than you trust any human being. He tells you that most new hunters do not last a single season. They ride out confident, and the desert swallows them whole. You listen to every word, you memorize every lesson. The sun begins to set behind the mountains, painting the sky in deep orange and red. You check your revolver one more time. You tighten the saddle on your mare. Tomorrow morning you ride out for your first bounty. Tonight you prepare. Level 3, the first hunt. The sun has barely risen when you ride out of the town. The desert stretches endlessly in every direction, golden sand and dry brush under a pale blue sky. Your target is Clayton Briggs. According to the poster, he was last seen near Red Canyon, a maze of rock formations 2 days' ride to the west. You follow the main trail for the first few hours. The land is quiet, just the sound of hooves on packed earth and the occasional cry of a hawk circling above. By midday, the heat becomes unbearable. You pull your hat low and keep moving. Old Earl told you to read the land, so you start looking for signs. Faint tracks pressed into the dust, a campfire circle with ashes still slightly warm, broken branches on a desert shrub where someone tied a horse. Each clue pulls you deeper into the wilderness. By the second day, you reach Red Canyon. The walls of red stone rise around you like the walls of a cathedral. Shadows crawl across the canyon floor as clouds drift overhead. You slow your horse and listen carefully. Somewhere ahead you hear it, the faint sound of a man's voice echoing off the rock walls. You dismount and move forward on foot, keeping low and quiet. The canyon narrows into a tight passage. On the other side you see a small camp. A fire burns low. A horse is tied to a dead tree. A man sits on a flat rock cooking something in a tin pan. He matches the face on your poster, Clayton Briggs. Your heart pounds hard in your chest. This is real. You are not just some drifter anymore. You are a hunter, and your target is 30 yards away. You take a slow breath, steady your nerves, and plan your next move carefully. Everything old Earl taught you comes flooding back. One wrong step and this entire hunt falls apart. Level 4, dead or alive. You crouch behind a boulder, watching Clayton Briggs from the shadows. He has no idea you were there. Old Earl's voice echoes in your mind. Study the man before you move. You notice Briggs has a revolver on his belt, but it is holstered. His horse is tied loosely to a branch. He is relaxed, not expecting company. You have the advantage. You could rush in, but that would be reckless. Instead, you wait for the right moment. Briggs stands up and walks toward a creek to fill his canteen. His back is turned. This is your chance. You step out from behind the rock with your revolver drawn, and you call out in a firm, steady voice. He freezes completely. You tell him to put his hands where you can see them. For a long moment, nothing moves. The canyon is perfectly silent. Then slowly his hands rise above his head. He turns around, and you see the face from the poster staring right back at you. He asks who you are. You tell him it does not matter. What matters is the warrant with his name on it. He tries to talk his way out. He offers you money, promises, every excuse he can think of. You do not listen to a single word. You walk forward, keeping your distance and your focus. You pull a length of rope from your saddlebag, and you bind his wrist firmly. He grumbles under his breath, but he does not resist. You lift him onto his horse and tie the reins to your saddle. The long ride back to town takes 2 full days under the blazing sun. You walk Clayton Briggs into the sheriff's office on a Tuesday afternoon. The sheriff looks at you like he has seen a ghost. Nobody expected the nameless drifter to actually bring in a bounty. He counts out $200 and places the coins in your hand. The weight of that reward feels like the beginning of everything. Level 5, the price of a name. Word travels fast on the frontier. Within a week, every saloon in the territory knows your name. The drifter who brought in Clayton Briggs. People look at you differently now. The bartender pours your drink without being asked. The shopkeeper gives you a respectful nod when you walk by. But respect on the frontier is a double-edged sword. You take on a second bounty, then a third, each one more difficult than the last. A horse thief hiding deep in the mountains, a con man running schemes across county lines, a fugitive who slipped away from a federal transport. You track them all down one by one. Your skills sharpen with every single hunt. You learn to read tracks in the rain. You learn to sleep with one eye open. You learn that patience is more powerful than any weapon you can carry. Your name starts appearing in newspaper columns across the territory. People begin calling you the Ghost because you find outlaws no one else can find. But fame in the Wild West always comes with a heavy price. Other bounty hunters see you as competition. Some try to intimidate you in saloons, getting in your face and testing your nerve. A rival hunter named Dawson Cole makes it very clear he does not like you working his territory. He warns you to stay out of his way. You do not back down, but you do not start trouble either. Old Earl taught you that much. Then there are the outlaws who hear your name and want to make sure you never come looking for them. Threats arrive through whispered messages and unsigned letters. Strange riders watch you from distant hilltops at sunset. One morning you find a rattlesnake coiled inside your saddlebag. Someone is sending you a warning, but you have come too far to turn back now. This is your life. This is what you were built for. The frontier needs someone willing to bring order to the chaos. And that someone is you. Level 6, the Devil's Bounty. The sheriff calls you into his office on a cold October morning. He looks troubled. On his desk sits a bounty poster unlike any you have seen before. The face on the paper belongs to a man known only as the Scorpion. He is the leader of a gang that has terrorized the territory for years. Robberies, intimidation. Entire towns living in fear because of his name alone. The reward is $3,000. That is more money than most people earn in a lifetime. But there is a reason the bounty is so high. Every hunter who has gone after the Scorpion has vanished. 6 men in total, and not a single one ever came back. The sheriff tells you he is not asking you to take this job. He is simply letting you know it exists. You stare at the file at the poster for a long time. $3,000 could change your life forever. You could buy land, build a proper home, and leave this dangerous profession behind for good. But the risk is enormous. You ask around town about the Scorpion. The stories are unsettling. He is cunning and always 2 steps ahead of everyone. He never stays in one place for more than a few days. His gang is fiercely loyal and well organized. An old trader tells you the Scorpion was last spotted near a ghost town called Drywell, deep in the Badlands. Nobody goes to the Badlands willingly. It is a wasteland of cracked earth, howling wind, and nothing else. You sit alone that night staring into a campfire. The flames dance and shadows twist all around you. You think about the 6 hunters who never returned. You think about old Earl and every lesson he gave you. You think about who you were before all of this, a broke drifter sleeping on saloon floors with nothing to his name. And then you realize something important. You still have nothing to lose. You fold the poster into your coat at first light, saddle your mare, and ride straight toward the Badlands. This is the hunt that will define everything you are. Level 7, the last draw. 3 days into the Badlands, you find Drywell. It is a ghost town in every sense of the word. Abandoned buildings line a single dirt road. Windows are shattered into jagged edges. Doors hang from rusted, broken hinges. The wind howls through empty rooms like the town itself is mourning. Your horse grows uneasy beneath you. You dismount and tire behind a collapsed barn, safely out of sight. You move through the town on foot, checking every building and every shadow. Then you spot the signs, fresh boot prints pressed into the dust, a still smoldering cigarette near a cracked window. Someone has been here very recently. You find a high position on the second floor of an old hotel, and you wait. Hours pass in total silence. The sun begins its slow descent toward the horizon. The sky shifts from gold to orange to deep burning crimson. Then you hear hooves in the distance. A group of riders approaches from the east. 5 men on horseback riding in a tight formation. The one in the center sits tall and wears a long black duster coat. Even from a distance you recognize the face from the poster, the Scorpion. Your heart races, but your hands stay perfectly steady. You have spent all day preparing for this exact moment. Earlier you set up distractions throughout the town. Loose horses positioned to scatter at the sound of a whistle. Doors rigged to ropes that slam shut on command. Your plan is to separate the Scorpion from his gang. You give the whistle. The town erupts in noise and confusion. Horses bolt in every direction. Doors slam from all sides of the street. The gang members scatter in panic, splitting up to search the buildings. The Scorpion dismounts and draws his weapon, scanning the empty road with sharp eyes. You step out from the hotel doorway into the middle of the main street. He sees you immediately. The two of you stand 40 paces apart on that dusty, empty road. The wind dies completely. The world goes silent around you. He calls out asking if you know who he is. You tell him you do. Then you tell him something no other hunter has ever said to him before. You're not here out of anger. You're here to bring him to justice, and you intend to do it peacefully. He laughs at first, but you do not flinch. He studies your eyes carefully, and for the first time in his life, he sees something no other hunter ever showed him. Absolutely no fear. The standoff stretches out like an eternity. Then slowly you see the fight drain from his eyes. He knows his run is finally over. His weapon drops into the dust. You walk forward calm and steady, and you place the iron cuffs around his wrists. One by one his men surrender. As the sheriff's posse you secretly arrange rides in from the ridge behind the town. You load the Scorpion onto a horse and ride out of Drywell as the last sliver of sunlight vanishes behind the mountains. $3,000 waits for you back in town. But as you ride through the cool darkness, you realize the money was never what truly mattered. You prove something to yourself tonight. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is standing firm when every part of you is screaming to run. The open frontier stretches out before you under a sky filled with 1,000 stars. You're no longer a drifter. You're no longer nobody. You are a legend of the Wild West, and this is only the beginning.